All right, and that should be good to go. All right, there we good. And again, hello everybody. Good afternoon, good morning, good day. Thanks so much for jumping in today. I really appreciate everybody taking some time to learn about the traffic system and the radiogram format that we use. Again, just some quick housekeeping. We'll probably run about an hour and a half. At around the 1 hour mark, we'll have some hands-on, and that's an excellent point to also take a break if you need to. Um, and then at the conclusion, I'll open it up for any questions. And sometimes we dive into a couple different things. Just kind of depends on what folks are curious about. But I want to make sure you have that time available. If you want to dive a little bit deeper on something, we can most certainly do that. Um, Taking a recording of this, and we'll get that up on YouTube later this afternoon, this evening, once everything processes and all that. I will send that, the link out to that, along with some other web pages and things that I'll mention. So I'll have that all in an email for you once the video is all set and ready to go, type of thing. And again, I think that'll be this evening, as long as the internet cooperates, type of thing. So um, just some quick info on me. I know the official title is Section Traffic Manager, but that's just a real fancy way of saying that I oversee traffic movement here in the North Texas section, and try to help folks learn more about it. And if we do run into some issues or things, then work both within the section and within with others in other sections to say, hey, can we figure out how to make things better, type of thing. And I got started in this many years ago. I was in Michigan, and that's why there's an 8 in my call sign, even though I'm in Texas. Um, I was helping an Aries Races team, and for a simulated emergency test, and they said, okay, we need you to go to this hospital, and we need you to relay this piece of traffic into the emergency operations center. And I said, I don't know what you're talking about. And so that started my journey on traffic handling and learning what the radiogram format is. And it's been a good one. So I've enjoyed participating. I hope you'll find this interesting and that you'll in time jump in as well. Uh, so some quick Here's what I hope to accomplish. We'll do a very high level overview of the system and kind of what it's about, the skills that you can pick up from participating in it. And then we'll dive into the radiogram and what's going on in there. That's kind of the heart of this whole thing. We'll do some hands-on practice with filling out the form, the radiogram form, and how we would relay that over the air, type of thing. Again, if you have any questions at any point, feel free to throw them in the chat. I had about 50 people register for this, and we're about halfway there. About 25 are in the call. So if I unmute everybody, we could have a good time. So for now, just if you would feel free to throw questions in the chat, and I'll kind of take them as they come in. And if it's something that I'll cover later, I'll give you the quick answer, and then we'll dive into it later when it's what's in the PowerPoint deck here. And we'll start with the overview. So the NTS is essentially a network of amateur radio operators that move traffic cross country. In this case, it's messages, but the fancy word for that is traffic. Started in 1915 as the formal way to relay messages. And anybody want to take a wild guess what year the ARRL formed? Yeah, it's 1915. This is why the league exists, and this is the relay in American Radio Relay League. So if you ever get that Jeopardy question, I guess, of why is it the Relay League? This is why. This is the relay in ARRL. And naturally we've been at it for quite some time, and so a lot of history's gone into the processes that we have in the radiogram form that we use, and that whole bit. Types of things that will move on the system. We'll start with the most critical, which is emergency traffic. So you could think life or death. I need supplies now. Where am I sending survivors? Those types of things that we need to move pronto. Right after that would be priority traffic, where we're not quite at that emergency level, but time is still of the essence, such as how many are injured in this area, um, those types of things. We still treat them with high importance, but in the stack rank, they're just below emergency traffic. The next one is welfare traffic. This is probably where the traffic system will be the most involved in an incident. This is where I want to let my family know I'm okay, or my family members are wanting to know, am I okay? How do I get that question into that area? Um, you can also get advisories as welfare traffic to say, everything is okay in this area, or those types of things. And then the last one is kind of the day to day, the routine traffic. And this might be something that some of you have seen. Okay, I get the comments. It was 1914 because the centennial was in 2014. Okay, this is one of those fun. 1914 is when the league came together, and then 1915, I think, is when the official paperwork processed or something screwy like that. But okay, anyway, yeah, it's right in that window. So routine traffic, you might have received some of this. Maybe it was, welcome to the hobby, enjoy the fun and friendships you will make, or remember to renew your license if not done so already. That's sometimes how folks get into the hobby. It's just through some traffic like that. But this is the traffic that, happy birthday or great to see you or things like that. This day-to-day traffic is what allows us to exercise the system every day. This system runs 365 days a year. Here in Dallas, at the local level, we have two net sessions that happen every day. And so far this year, we've moved about 1,000 pieces of traffic in and out of the Metroplex. This thing runs daily so that we can make sure that our skills are well in hand. We've built that muscle memory so that if we do need to pivot into emergency priority or welfare traffic, we're ready to go. It's just the content of the radiogram that changes. Everything else stays the same. NTS primarily runs in the US and Canada. We can move things internationally, and here out of Dallas, we have exchange traffic with Canada, Great Britain. We've sent things to Japan, third-party agreement supply type of thing. So definitely have to keep that in mind, just like anything else. And of course, no commercial content in the messages or anything like that either. And the modes are just as you would think: voice, Morse code, and digital. Um, and so whether you're on a 2 meter, FM, or you're on a HF phone net or a CW net, or you're working DTN, the digital traffic net, all the modes that you typically would use are in play for traffic handling. So here's an example of how we would move something. This very awful diagram is is how the system is structured. And I've got a better walkthrough that'll help with this, but let me start. Traffic typically starts and ends at the local level. So like here in Dallas, we have the local nets. I would introduce traffic here at the local level. And then if it was going cross country, then it would go up through regional and area nets, and then jump across those area nets, and then come back down towards a local net for final delivery in that local area. Uh, and so region nets, you could think like we have Texas Traffic Net, Texas CW Net. There is the Region 5 net as an example. And then the area nets generally refer to three of them: the western area, the central area, and the eastern area. And they basically run the western area, the central area, and the eastern area of the US and Canada type of thing. And so we'll move traffic up through those, across if we need to, and then come back down for local delivery. So here's a better way we can put this, I think. Let's say I wanted to send a message to a family member in Michigan. This is a real piece of traffic that I moved, and this is exactly how it went. I bring that to the local net here in Dallas, as I have one going to Michigan. And then the net control station works to figure out uh, who can take that traffic and help keep it moving towards Michigan. And I'll go into that in a bit. That traffic was then relayed to a station in Indiana. This went from me to a station here in Dallas that could then relay it across the digital network, and it was relayed to a station in Indiana. Then it was relayed from there to a station in Michigan that also participates in the digital traffic net. That station happens to be, even though they're working a kind of a larger, a larger area network, that station happened to be 5 miles away from the destination, which is farmland, and so there really isn't a local net out in farmland, Michigan. So that station being 5 miles away, picked up the phone and made that final delivery. The vast majority of our traffic is delivered by phone. The radiogram form does have a spot for email, but we very much prefer a phone number. If we're in an incident, like it's welfare traffic, I want to let my family know I'm okay. We would rather make that contact by phone so that we know that they got it, and we can have that personal, hey, I have a message from your family member, they want you to know they're okay and that they're at this location right now, right? And if we're on the receiving end of that, would we want that in an email? Or, hey, I'd like, I would like a person there. So we very much really want phone numbers. If that's just not possible, then yet you can put an email address. We would ideally move that traffic to as close to the destination as we can before we do the email. But then we kind of run into that we send the email and we just don't know if they got it or not, type of thing. Did it go in the spam filter, or what happened there? So phone very much preferred. Here's how the system helps you kind of build your skills. Again, at very high level, I could go deeper, but for sake of this, I don't want to bore you. Uh, Traffic handling teaches you how to talk slowly and clearly. If any of you have participated in like a Aries nets, like a Skywarn net, or if you've been on a public service net, helping with a parade route or a bike race, or different things like that. One of the big tenets: slow is fast and fast is slow. And what we mean by that is, if you say it slowly and clearly the first time, then you only have to say it once. If you go fast, and we're thinking radiogram, right? And I've got the pen and the paper, and I'm trying to write down everything you said. And then if you're going like, I need 5 cots and 3 cases of water and two, and the other person's trying to, you lost them, and you wind up having to repeat it, and that slows things down. So if you go slow, whatever you think slow is, go slower than that. That will probably be a good rate, so that you only have to relay it the once. You might have to enunciate words, so you enunciate, kind of draw them out to help with clarity on the other end. And a good way that I like to think of it is, you're not reading the message, you're sending it. And I think that puts things under a different perspective, because at the other end, right, we want this thing to show up exactly as it started, even with mistakes in it. If it entered the system with a mistake, we want the thing to arrive at the other end, essentially a photocopy of how it started, right? We don't want that request for a dozen cots to turn into 5 balloons or some really weird thing like that, right? We want the thing to get there word for word and letter for letter on the other end. You also get some other skills just participating in nets in general, kind of really honing in on the instructions from the net control station. I know sometimes here on the nets, the instructions are, please check in with your call sign phonetically only. And then we get, this is K8AMH and my name is Aaron and I'm in North Dallas. And just need your call sign phonetically only. You get the same thing on Skywarn nets too sometimes, right? You know, just tell us if you're getting hail or suspicious cloud rotation or rain over the curb. And what do you get? Sirens are going off, as if that, somehow fit any of the other things, right? So participating in these nets helps you get comfortable with net operations and really listening for instructions. ITU phonetics, they are the gold standard on the traffic system. If you're on a local net, you might get away with a dog or a cat as you're trying to learn it. But if you're on HF and you're working traffic, ITU all the way, 100%. Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta, Echo, that whole side of the biz. And so this gives you some good practice, some good hands-on with ITU phonetics. You also get some hands-on with pro words or pro signs. A lot of what we're using here, of course, follows the same thing you'd hear anything else, whether that's public safety dispatch. You're working an incident and you're handed a public safety radio, one of the nice Motorola's that we all dream about owning, and are working with dispatch for things. If you ever want to really hear folks work something, listen to air traffic control, especially you get into areas like JFK, Newark, LaGuardia, where they got a lot of aircraft flowing in there. YouTube, get someone that's got some, an emergency, flights declared an emergency. And now air traffic control is not only trying to juggle all the traffic going through the area, but now they're trying to juggle the emergency and how many souls on board and how much fuel you got left and what are your intent. Really excellent if you want to hear folks really work moving things and hearing how those pro words really play in there with that. Say again your traffic. I didn't copy. Roger will. You can get a lot of good experience with that just from participating in that. And then last from here, this also helps you with being concise. The form has 25 blanks or groups or words on it. Now, if we're in an incident, of course, there is no hard limit of 25. If that hospital has a list of supplies that they need and it's 45 words long, then that's how long it is. You're not going to go to the hospital and say, well, can you get it down to 25? Because that's how, no, you're going to move it with how many it has, whatever the need is. But for the day-to-day, routine traffic, and maybe in terms of welfare traffic, especially if you've got a bunch of people waiting in line, yeah, 25 is a good limit to have. Why say it in 20 words when 12 will do the job exactly the same? So you learn how to be brief and concise and really be efficient. And that applies in other nets. Like if you're on a Skywarn net and you're trying to pass some information across to net control, the shorter, the more brief you can be, the better. You never know, there might be another station waiting for that air to clear so that they can break in and say, I've got a funnel forming, or whatever that type of thing is. So brevity really helps. And then for any of you that have jumped down the incident command system side of the business, especially with your ARRL groups, you can take these skills across to, say, relaying ICS 213s or general message forms over the air. Having that process down of speaking slowly and clearly and being able to jump through. Sometimes you get the question of, well, how exactly do you relay a 213 over the air? This is one of those items that doesn't have a national standard. Local areas have kind of come up with their own standards. So I would recommend talking to your area's emergency coordinator on that one. I know here in the Metroplex, it's kind of a fuzzy area. I know Alaska, they've basically taken the radiogram header and plugged it on top of the 213 and said, combine them both and run with it. Here we're trying a hybrid of converting 213s into radiogram format and then relaying them. And that's the approach that was taken during the recent Mars exercise that happened in October, when they had some 213s and then they got transferred into the traffic system for final relay and delivery. So go back to your emergency coordinators on that one, but it is something that is a known thing. The time to practice is now. I think that's the most important thing that I have on here. When the disaster begins, the time to prepare ends, right? It's over. You're not preparing anymore. You're responding. And so if you haven't built these skills up beforehand and now you're rolling into the incident, too late. You either know the skill or you don't. Sometimes we'll get folks that check in that have never moved a radiogram before ever, but now they want to help. And it unfortunately becomes a hindrance. And so really the time to prepare is now before the disaster happens. Mistakes. So this question sometimes comes up when I talk to folks of, well, what if I oops? I kind of kid, and I still make mistakes, and I put it that, well, I put the amateur in amateur radio today. Yeah, I've made a mistake. Whoops. And okay, we move on. If you've made a mistake and you know it, okay, acknowledge, hey, hang on, I made a mistake, let me correct that. You make the correction and you move on. If someone does give you some feedback, hopefully they're doing it positive intentions type of thing rather than a scream at you. I know sometimes that happens, but generally we're trying to help you learn and hone your skills so that when you do jump in, you've got it down and you've built the muscle memory and are able to run with it. So if you're thinking I might make a mistake and there's all these other traffic handlers that have been at it for years and I'm going to sound like an idiot or that type of thing, we all started by not knowing. I started by not knowing, and the only way that we can turn that from I don't know anything to I have a good finger on the pulse of how to do it is through learning and participating and making those mistakes and learning along the way. If there's one thing that I could say walk away with from our time together is that it's okay to make mistakes, take those as opportunities to learn and grow, and push the talk button and give it a spin. um, if you don't, then you'll never. If you give it a shot and you make a mistake, I've made tons. I still do. It's okay. Please feel comfortable participating in things. So all right, that's the very high level of the system and things. I'll take a moment to say if any questions, feel free to throw them in the chat. If you can, throw them into everybody versus direct. I can see the everybody on the tablet I have on the side. If I try to look at them coming in direct, it gets a little bit interesting on my monitor as I try to juggle the slides and things. But if any questions, feel free to throw them in. Otherwise, I'm going to keep rolling here and we'll dive into the radiogram format. This is really the heart of this talk. Um, so this thing is the standardized format that we're all using. And if you move traffic internationally, this is the same format we're all using. We all use this same form. And a question in the chat, is radiogram in Winlink? Yes. And when we're done, if you want, I can jump into Winlink and kind of show you where it is and how it works and that type of thing. But radiograms are in Winlink. FL Message has a radiogram format in it, right? This is very much the format used for the traffic system. Because we're all using the same format, it just allows us to be that much more efficient. And it's got 100+ years of history into what exactly is in it to help us try and make things move, reliably and quickly through the system. We can also trace these things. If we have a message that goes in and it disappears into the ether, we can go back and start following it because we're tracking how it relays through the network. I have done that with some. Yeah, I've had folks from New York say, I've got traffic that didn't make it to you in Texas. What happened? And then I reach out to the Western New York traffic manager, for example, and let's say, let's start tracing the steps and figure out. Usually what will happen in that case is we don't know who did it, but once we start asking questions, suddenly the traffic appears again. So that usually means it got caught on someone's desk and now it's moving again. And that's our ultimate goal there, is we want to make sure the link is working. And if there is an issue, how do we work around it or try and build it and make it better type of thing. So that only works if you keep a log of everything that you handle. So if you do dive into traffic handling in the long term, please keep a log of everything that you handle. And it doesn't have to be super complex. It's, what's the date? What was the station that it came from, the station of origin for that message, and where was it headed? And then what did you do it? Did you get it from somebody? Did you relay it to someone else? Just so that if we say, do you have a record of that? Then you can quickly go back and reference it and be able to provide that data. Comment in there, Red Cross has their specific one in Winlink, the American Red Cross 213. Yeah, the 213 general message form is exactly that, a general message form. So it is free for adaptation as other folks need it to be, just like how some Aries groups have taken the header and plugged it on top of the 213 and kind of made it into their own Aries 213, so to speak. So yeah, there's a bunch of different templates in Winlink, and the radiogram is one of them in there. And again, I can show that to you when we get into Q&A at the end. So here's the form. Um, there's some fancy animations built into this PowerPoint that look really great in person, but over the internet they kind of can jar. So I'm sure that moved very smoothly over everybody's screens, but it looked awesome to me. So we'll break the radiogram, and this won't affect anything. It just is fancies. We'll break the radiogram into sections and dive into each one. The header is kind of the hardest, so we'll get that out of the way first, and then we'll kind of work our way through it just as you would fill it out, and then we'll give some examples, that type of thing. So we'll start with the header, and you can think of the header as kind of like how an email has a from and a to, and the date it was sent, and a subject and things, and it's kind of the same thing here. The header in a radiogram starts with a number. This number is assigned by whoever fills out the radiogram for the first time. So if I'm sending a radiogram to somebody, I would give it a unique number. And the way I started it is I started with my first one was 1, and my second one was 2, and my third one was 3, and I'm on number 600 and something right now. At some point I'll reset, I'll go back to number 1 and then 2 and 3 again. But this is just kind of for your tracking, so that if someone comes back and says, hey, I have a question about your number 327, well, then you can go look it up, because you can look back at your number 327 and be talking about the same thing. Some folks will format it by month and date. So like on March 1st, they'll start with 1. So 3 for the month, 301, the first one for March, 302 for their second for March. And so it's kind of up to you how you want to do it. Some folks, message number 10078, and it's like, whew, okay, that's huge, but that's the way they've decided to do it. Just, the key thing is try and keep it sane, so to speak, not message 1 million or, something like that. Next item is precedence. This goes back to that criticality we talked about, emergency, priority, welfare, or routine. Priority, welfare, and routine will generally put as an initial just to save time. When we say it over the air, we'll say the whole thing. This is routine. Emergency is always written out in full. We want that to stand out because that is the highest critical traffic we have. So emergency, always spelled out emergency. The others we can use an abbreviation for. After that's HX, the handling instruction. Now this is an optional item that tells us one or two things: how to handle the traffic as it moves through the system, and or how to go about delivering that message at the end. Here's the list of them. This is in that reference guide I gave you, so if you want to scribble notes, they're there. But for those that don't have it in front of them type of thing, here they are on screen now. The most common one you're going to see is Hotel X-Ray Golf, which essentially says, please do not spend any money when you go to deliver this. If you are going to have to spend money, then never mind, but please send me a message back letting me know that you couldn't deliver it. And we call that a service message. You would service the station back saying could not deliver because would incur cost, or whatever that reason is. The next one you might see is Hotel X-Ray Charlie. Please tell me the date and time that you delivered it. So essentially that's a delivery confirmation. You can combine these. So you could do Hotel X-Ray Charlie Golf, for example. That starts to get a little more advanced. So I won't dive into that too far. We'll try and keep it as simple as we can. The one that we all love and hate is Hotel X-Ray Delta. This is effectively a tracer. What happens when you use HXD is every time the message gets relayed, 2 pieces of traffic pop out. So if I send it to you, I have to send a message back to the originating station saying, at this date and time, I relayed it to you. At the same time, you have to send a message back to that originating station saying, at this date and time, you got it from me. And then when the next relay happens, the same 2 pieces of traffic pop out again. So every time it hops, 2 pieces of traffic enter the system and head back. So this can get noisy very quickly. And a couple of years ago, there was a field day set up that sent all their field day traffic using Hotel X-Ray Delta. and, and they got some feedback, and that was before my time, so I hope it was positive. Let me help you understand. But effectively, for everything that they sent, suddenly a bunch of traffic was coming back saying, here's the status of the relaying through the network. So we try not to use this unless it's a really critical piece of traffic, like I've got something from the hospital and I got to make sure it gets there and tell me where it is. Or if I really need to do some major troubleshooting and I'm just not able to try and trace everything individually, I'm just going to follow it through the network. So, there, did I beat that horse good enough? Don't use that one. Okay, good. The next one is station of origin. This is the station that's filling out the original radiogram at the very beginning. The radiogram message can be from anyone. It doesn't have to be from a ham. So it could be a family member that just wants to send a message and they just would like to try it through the traffic system for funsies. If you're the one filling out the radiogram at the very beginning and for the first time, then that's your call sign that goes there, regardless of whether the other person is a ham or not. Where this usually comes up is if I do a delivery by phone, for example, and that person wants me to send a reply. I'm the one filling out the radiogram at that point, so I'm the station of origin, even though the other person is a ham or whatnot. If there's a question about that radiogram, it needs to come back to me because I'm the one that's bringing it for the first time. So that's why my call sign goes there. Hopefully that makes sense. I'm going to complicate life in a little bit in place of origin, but hopefully that that made some sense. Next is the check. Uh, This is the number of words or groups that are in the text. And this is our way of trying to make sure that we didn't add or drop anything during the relay. So if the text section has 12 words in it, then the check is 12, 1, 2. And then after the relay is done, we count to make sure that, yep, what I wrote down is matching the number that you told me in the check type of thing. There are some shorthands we can use, and if we do use them, the ARRL shorthands, then we'll indicate that there are shorthands in use, and we'll just prepend the check with ARRL as a flag to say shorthands are in use in this message. I'll go over that a little bit later, so if it's a little confusing now, that's okay. I'll clarify it in just a bit. Next is the place of origin. This is where it's coming from. And here's where it gets complicated. This is the location of who authored the message in the text section. If this is you, if you're the one that created the message, then it's your current city and state. If you took this on behalf of someone else, so back to that phone conversation I talked about, like let's say I'm here in Dallas and that other person I delivered it to is in Irving, the place of origin is Irving. The station of origin is me, K8AMH. I'm the one filling it out. The place of origin is Irving. So why is this important? Let's say I'm helping Mercy Hospital. I might be in Dallas, but Mercy Hospital is in Fort Worth. So I better put Fort Worth here to make sure that it goes back to the correct Mercy Hospital. That's the best example I can come up with how that how that is helpful. So hopefully that's clear. If it would help to kind of go into that again, I'm happy to do that. But generally, if you put the wrong city and state, the traffic system will not explode. The traffic police will not come over and whip you with the spaghetti noodle or something. It will be okay. The message will still move, but if we want the place of origin to match where the person authoring the message is from. Time is optional. This really needs to be used for emergency priority and welfare traffic. We want to know what time this came in. And same thing if there's a Hotel X-Ray Bravo instruction. That one again is if you don't deliver it within so many hours, then forget it, cancel it and send me a service message back saying it timed out. Let me know you couldn't deliver it. And it's like if it was 6 hours, then it would be Hotel X-Ray Bravo 6, indicating 6 hours. I got to know 6 hours from when, so we would include the time there. 24-hour time format preferred. Um, Coordinated universal time is the time that the traffic system uses, so we usually would indicate Zulu. So 14, 20, 34 Zulu right now, I think, if I'm got that offset right. If you are going to use a local time zone, that's okay. Please indicate the time zone. So like here would be Central Standard Time. If you put local, that works until it leaves your local area. Always find it fun when someone sends me, okay, blah, 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 at 2100 local. And I'm like, okay, you're in, where are you? And what's your time zone? And now I got to look that up. And if I'm in an incident, are you, which side of the line are you, if you can indicate the time zone, but if you put local, again, the system will not explode or whatever, but a time zone is much preferred here. And then the date. 3 letters of the month followed by the date. So, it'd be November 2-1 right now, November Oscar Victor, NOV 2-1. You would say it as the full month, November or March or January on the air, but we just write the 3. You do not need to include the year. If that piece of traffic is a year old, then I have questions. So, after a year, it probably, doesn't matter anymore. It's a year old, so oh well. But no need to include the year. Again, follow UTC if you can. If you do not include a time zone in the time, like if you have no time, UTC is kind of assumed. So very much preferred if you can follow coordinated universal time on these. All right, so here is an example of filling out the header and how I would say this on the air. Now I'm going to preface this with um, there is a document, the NTS methods and practices guidelines document. If you ever want to really sit down, it's a good 400 plus pages on how to relay traffic. So there are a set of best practices, but each net, I would say, has its own kind of personality. And so as you join in on a traffic net, listen and get a feel for how that net operates. So some of this I'm following the guidelines as best as I can, but I'll tell you when there's a nuance of how we do it locally here in Dallas. But here's how you would read this header. I would say to the other station, please copy number 312 routine Hotel X-ray Golf Kilo 8 Alpha Mike Hotel 12 Dallas, Texas 2145 January 15. Now you'll notice a couple of things in there when I did that. First, I did not read each header's title. Like I didn't say precedence routine, station of origin, check, place. We're all using the same form. So we all know what's going on there. So there's no need to rattle off the name of each box. I do that for Hotel X-ray just as a flag that I'm not giving a call sign. I'm giving you a handling instruction. So, Hotel X-ray Golf or Hotel X-ray Charlie Golf or Hotel X-ray Charlie, is a good practice for letting that other station know this thing I just gave you is a handling instruction. I did mention that a couple of items are optional. The handling instruction is optional in the time. So if I don't have those, I just skip them. Number 312 routine, Kilo 8 Alpha Mike Hotel 12 Dallas, Texas, January 15. Of course, much slower than that. I'm trying to be conscious of time, but you would say that much slower. Just skip them. We know that they're blank because you didn't tell us anything. So you're good to just flat out skip right across them as you're giving them over the air. That's it for their header. Congratulations, that was the hard part. Any any questions on that before we roll forward? Again, and for time, do you enter the colon in time? Yes and no. I mean, when you're reading it, you're not mentioning it, and generally no. Kind of your preference if it's going to help you to see the numbers clearly when you're reading it. But like 2145, you would give each number individually. Same thing with date. November 2-1. Message number 384. You wouldn't say message 300 and blah. And then Next comment, I'd rather use Zulu following the time. Yeah, that's how you would do that to indicate coordinated universal time, 2145 Zulu. Um, uh, it's better if you can mention what time frame it's on, so that way we're not guessing, 2145, well, 2145 what? uh, I'm going to assume coordinated universal time, so if you leave a blank, that's the assumption. So yeah, 2145 Zulu is much preferred there. All right, if any other questions, feel free to throw them in. I'm going to keep rolling. Next part's the address part. um, Basically, this is like a letter, first, last name, and a call sign if they have one. Destination doesn't have to be a ham. Like when I sent that traffic to my family member, they're not a ham. But first, last, call sign, address, city, state, zip, and then that phone number, please. Um, please, at a minimum, city and state, and then the zip code if you got it. But we need the city and state. Um, somewhere out there was a mention that just include the zip code and we'll be good. If I'm working an incident and I've got just the radio and some paper, and you tell me I got one going to zip code 98052, okay, anybody know where that is? How do you know where to route it, right? So city and state, Redmond, Washington is a lot more actionable than 98052. So city and state at a minimum on that. Um, Ideally full address, first, last, address, city, state, zip, and a phone number. Uh, if you do include an email, you need to write it out. The only symbol that exists in the traffic system is a forward slash, which we say as stroke. Everything else does not exist. So if you have something that's got parentheses, or things, that all gets converted to words. And so that's exactly what's happening here. Jane dot Doe at, or at sign, both are acceptable, example dot com. All of those symbols get converted into words. So keep that in mind for your email. But again, phone numbers, very much pretty please. That's how we're doing most of them. Some other questions. Confusion in Winlink when relaying a pre-existing message regarding station of origin. Winlink form does not allow me to change the date to match original message. Okay. Let's dive into that when we get into Winlink after the end. I think that would be good to focus on. I don't know why it's not letting you change it, but usually Winlink is used to introduce traffic rather than be in the middle. That gets a little complex, so let's save that for later. And keep me honest if I forget. Remind me. Let's do that in Q&A. I want to make sure we get that answered. Um, okay, let's keep rolling here. So here's an example of how this would flow, and here's how this would be read over the air. So let me read this and then we'll walk through it. So going to, in this case, it's Jane, and again, slower than this. Jane Doe, I spell Delta Oscar Echo, amateur call Alpha Romeo 1 Tango, address figures 123, mixed group 85 Tango Hotel, street, direction southeast, Sumtown, Wisconsin, zip figures 00121, phone figures 330-555-4424. Break. Again, much slower than that, but trying to remain conscious of time here. So this brings in some pro words for the first time. And again, these are in the reference guide, but here are the ones that I just used here. And acknowledge the question on how do you say the email. I'll get to that in a second. So I spell means you're about to spell something. This is good practice for last names or even first names. John, is it Jon or John? Uh, Also good practice for your ITU phonetics. Amateur call means you're about to give a call sign. Figures means you're about to give some numbers. And again, you do them one at a time, 1, 2, 3, instead of 123. Mixed group means it's a mixed group of letters or numbers. Direction, mainly used in addresses for cardinal direction in the address, northeast, southwest, west type of thing. And then break. Sometimes this raises some questions because I know in a lot of nets that happen here, if you have an emergency or priority traffic at any time, Please break into the net by saying break, break, followed by your call sign. So break sometimes gets associated with I have an emergency, but that's not exactly 100% what it's used for. In this case, it's saying I'm going to stop and I'm going to give you an opportunity to let me know if you need me to repeat anything, or spell anything, or answer any questions before we continue. And the way I'll tell you to keep going is I would say go ahead, go text, which is the next part. Back on this, how would you read the email? So after phone figures, email Jane dot Doe at sign example dot com. Break, because now you're at the end of the address part, so you'd break there. But exactly just how I have it on there, one word at a time like that. The email would be written out just exactly like that. So hopefully that clarified. Let me know if I can go further on that. Um, okay, let's continue. Uh, Op notes. So this is the first of two places where we can include what's called an operator note, an op note. In this location, this op note provides additional information about handling or delivery. So just like the handling instruction gives us some things, you can include some other things here as well if you need to. So like in this example, op note, workday only. Well, this is telling the delivering station, only try calling during a workday. So that gives some extra guidance to help this traffic successfully read its destination. This is not labeled on the radiogram. There's a couple of things that aren't. This is this is one of them. It's back to one of those things that we understand about the radiogram format. But if you get an op note in the beginning here, this is where it goes. Not too often that you'll run into it, but awareness that this is where this first one would go. That's the address part. If any questions on this one, let me know. We're going to jump into the next box, receiving station info, which good news, you can generally ignore. This is helpful if you're about to mail it to the destination or if you're turning in your paperwork after an incident. This effectively says who filled out this piece of paper, and you would put your name and your phone number and your address and other details. And then that way, if I come back later and I have a question, I can come back to you, the person that filled out the sheet of paper. Um, if it's traffic going to your station, or if you're acting as a relay in the middle, right? I know my name and address. I don't need to fill it out on every single one, so I just leave it blank. But if I do drop it in the mail, like say, hey, I got a radiogram for you, and I would fill this out so they have my information. Same thing if I was turning it in at the end of an incident. Um, who filled this out, because I can't read this one word, what does it say? I know who to go back to and ask. So okay, hopefully that was easy. All right, next box is the text. Again, back to that generally 25 groups, so hence 25 spaces in the template. Again, if we were in an incident, that this limit goes out the window, but for general day-to-day, we like to keep this in mind just to help the system effectively and efficiently move things. I like to think of it as $5 a word. And you can maybe tie that back to Telegram days where you paid based on length. Um, so sometimes I'll ask the question, is it worth spending the $5 for that? If you can shorten it and it still makes sense, then go for it. So let's use this as an example. Great seeing you yesterday. Hope to get together again soon. 73. Punctuation, just like I talked about before, gets transferred into words or groups. So a period becomes either the letter X set as initial X-ray or the word X-ray. Both are acceptable. Same thing if it was a question marks become the word query, exclamation points become the word exclamation. Not too often you run into those, but maybe query, but initial X-ray or the word X-ray, you'll see lots. So here's how this gets transferred. Great seeing you yesterday, initial X-ray. Hope to get together again soon, figure 7-3. And if you note, I didn't put an X-ray between soon and the 73 at the end. Pretty clear that that's where the sentence ended. So do I need to spend the $5? So in this case, this is one of those things where you can save the $5 if that makes sense. If I had a number or a date or something there that, would be confusing if I didn't have an X-ray there, then yeah, spend the $5 and put the X-ray there. On August 10, 7/3, might be helpful to put the initial X-ray or the word X-ray there just to separate those out type of thing. Again, the traffic police will not show up if you put an X-ray and we kind of go, you didn't really need that. But just again, something to keep in mind. Now, when we're filling out the check in the header, these words like X-ray and query and things count. So when I look at this, great seeing you, great seeing you yesterday, initial X-ray, that's 5. Hope to get together again, that's 5. Soon, 7/3, that's 2. So 5, 10, 12. The check on this is 12. And so I would put 12 in the check. Hopefully that makes sense. And that's exactly how great seeing you yesterday, initial X-ray. Hope to get together again soon. Figure 7/3. Break. Now we finished the text section, so that's the second time that we break when we do this. Again, with do you need me to repeat something? Initial, means you're giving the initials. Some folks say letter group, both are acceptable. Initials, November Tango Sierra National Traffic System, or initials Alpha Romeo Romeo Lima, that type of thing. If you need something said again, say again, just as you'd say with public safety or air traffic control thing. Say again, please say again, word after seeing. Or the worst case, please say again all after yesterday, which is a good way of saying you went too fast. I just totally lost you and gave up. So please say again all after yesterday is a good clue to slow down. Um, Affirmative and negative are much preferred to yes and no. They're longer, more drawn out, so I have a better chance of understanding that, especially if the band conditions are a little rough. And then if you do make a mistake, correction is the magic word. Correction, southeast. I say again, southeast, just to correct a mistake, and then keep rolling with it, type of thing. That's it for the text. The last part is the signature. It's right below the text section. It's the next thing that's not labeled. Hooray. Generally, it's a name and a call sign if you got one. So, for me, Aaron, amateur call Kilo 8 Alpha Mike Hotel. Sometimes we get traffic from the 7290 traffic net, and that's how it's signed, the 7290 traffic net. I would say this is Aaron, amateur call Kilo 8 Alpha Mike Hotel. End number 312, no more. How copy? And some more pro words for you. End means that's the end of the radiogram. I'm done telling you stuff from it. Uh, Book traffic is a great way to efficiently move the same message over and over. I'll talk about that more in a second. No more, one more, two more is telling the other station how many you have left to relay to them. So sometimes, I might have one to New York and one to New Jersey, and I'm relaying them both to the same station. So when I get done with the New York one, I'll say end number whatever, one more, to remind the station that I have something else I'm still sending to them. Sometimes I'll have someone that's sending me 8, and then they'll say, end of whatever, several more left, just because I got a stack of them, and I know I need to stick around, and we work through them. How copy? Did you get everything okay? And then Roger, good copy. I Roger your number, whatnot, and thanks for the traffic because we're kind, is the way you would indicate that the relay completed successfully. This is the second spot for op notes. An op note here relates to replies. So in this example, reply or service to KE5YTA, that's Roger. Generally, we get that one for international traffic, and I'll show you a real world of that in a second. But if there's anything related to servicing that back, maybe you're on a traffic net that some aren't familiar with. You could, OpNote reply via um, Western New York traffic net, that type of thing. That'll help it route back, type of thing. If something like that, is helpful to include in there. And that's it for the signature. Everything that I just talked about, with the exception of the receiving station info, that would be you. Everything else that I've talked about stays exactly the same as it goes through the system. All of it. The origin, the number, the date, all of it stays exactly the same. None of that changes ever. Um, this next part is the one part that will change. And this is the received and sent info for your tracking records. This is where we record who you got it from and who you relayed it to. And so if we need to go back and play back that traffic movement, this is how we start following it. Who did you get it from at what date and time? Who did you relay it to what date and time? Again, coordinated universal time is very much preferred, just as before. Um, and so here in this example, saying I relayed it to Roger KE5YTA. I personally track what net it was at because we have both the early and late session locally. So I put DFW late and then the date and the time. So if someone comes back and says, hey, my traffic never made it, did you send it? Yeah, I sent it to KE5YTA at this date and time. Then we can go to Roger and say, Roger, at this date and time, you got this traffic from K8 AMH. What happened afterwards, trying to understand what happened, and we could start tracing it through the system. So hopefully that makes sense. And so from everything we just walked through, this is how this would look. Let me zoom in just so that it's a little easier. um, we have everything filled out and completed, so this would be the complete radiogram here. I think a little bit later is when I walk through how to say this, but for funsies, I'll just do it now. All the way through, I would say, again, slower. Please copy number 312 routine, Kilo 8, Alpha Mike Hotel, 12, Dallas, Texas, January 1, 5. Jane Doe, I spell Delta Oscar Echo, amateur call, Alpha Romeo 1 Tango, address figures 123, mixed group 85 Tango Hotel, street, direction southeast, Sumtown, Wisconsin, zip figures 00121, phone figures 330-555-4424, break, and then I'd repeat or whatever they need me to do before the go ahead, go text. Great seeing you yesterday. Initial x-ray. Hope to get together again soon. Figures 7-3. Break. And then that other station, please say again word after great. Or, go ahead, go signature. Aaron, amateur call, Kilo 8, Alpha Mike Hotel, end 312, no more, how copy. I Roger your 312, thanks for the traffic, thanks for taking it, K8AMH, back to net. And I'll go through that again in a bit. But that would be how that would relay generally over the air. All right, let me zoom out of this. What if we have the same message going to more than one person? Merry Christmas and wishing you the best for a better 2021. It would be called book traffic. I have the same message going to multiple destinations. The nice part of this is I only need to read that text, once. The only thing that would change would be the number and the destination, and then of course in my records the time that I received it or I sent it. So in this case, this again comes back to kind of how each net would do it. The first one, I would scream through the whole thing. Number 312 routine, Kilo 8 Alpha Mike Hotel, and then the text, and then the signature. End number 312, one more in the book, how copy. I Roger 312, go next. Number 313, John Smith, address figures, right? I can skip all the rest of it because it's exactly the same. I only need to give the number and the name, address, phone number. And then as soon as I end that phone number, end number 313. No more in the book, how copy, right? It just is a big time saver when you have the same thing going over and over again. That makes sense, hopefully. I do have your videos up and everybody's just kind of looking. So I hope that means good. Okay, good. I try to get a feel based on how folks are looking, but okay. All right, I mentioned shorthands. And then we're going to have a break coming up here shortly. So we'll go through just a little bit more and then we can, have some hands on and a break. These shorthands, just help us with when we kind of have the same thing over and over again. So here's a good example. Uh, ARRL 56, new amateur radio license. Welcome to the hobby. Enjoy the fun and friendships you will make. Maybe one of you have received this. ARRL 56 is, of course, congratulations on your blank, a most worthy and deserved achievement. And we would just fill in the blank with the words that follow. So let me explain that a little better. These shorthands provide a way to send common messages quickly. These are in that reference guide. When we deliver the message, of course, we translate it. I wouldn't, hi, I've got a message for you, and it says ARRL 56. Any question? We would translate it for them from the shorthand, to whatever it is. When we use one or more of these, we throw ARRL in the check as a flag to say there is a shorthand, one or more shorthands in use in the text section. So whatever the check is, throw ARRL in the front of it. For those that don't have the handout handy, here are some of the more common ones you see. 47 is basically I delivered your message number blank to a call sign delivered on date and time. ARRL 50, greetings by amateur radio, those types of things. And you'll notice that these are written out words rather than like figures 4-7. This is to make sure that we associate the the number with the ARRL shorthand, right? Like reference your message number 47, right? I would put ARRL 40, I spell Foxtrot Oscar Romeo Tango Yankee. 7, I spell Sierra Echo Victor Echo November. Figures 4-7, or figures whatever the blank is for the first one, because we want to make sure that that shorthand gets associated correctly. So the shorthand numbers get written out and spelled out on the air just to stress that they're part of the shorthand. So again, this one again becomes congratulations on your new amateur radio license and most worthy and deserved achievement. Welcome to the hobby. Enjoy the fun and friendships you will make. And then again, exactly just as I mentioned, ARRL 50, I spell Foxtrot India, Foxtrot Tango Yankee. 6, I spell Sierra India X-ray. New amateur radio license initial X-ray. And just in the beginning, initials Alpha Romeo Lima. So that would be how you would relay one of these over the air with shorthands. Some quick examples, and then we'll do a hands-on. ARRL 50, John, and anybody remember ARRL 50? Greetings by amateur radio. So greetings by amateur radio, John, and congrats on new amateur radio license. Enjoy all that the radio community offers. Best regards. Here's one that's got the op note at the end. Op note reply or service message to DL4FN via KE5YTA Richardson, Texas 75080. Peter, DL4FN, is in Germany. And not everybody is familiar with how to get traffic to Germany. So Peter includes this op note, which is where you put the reply or service details, to say send them back through Roger KE5YTA in Richardson, Texas. So when someone were to send something back to Peter, that traffic would first head to Roger here in Texas, and then Roger would then send it over to Germany. So that's a good example of where you would use an op note to assist with trying to get that traffic back. Hopefully that one makes sense. Same thing here again. Hello, Gary. Congrats on your new amateur radio license. Ask delivering ham for more info about this message. Best wishes. And again, we've got the same service message because it's again from Peter DL4FN over in Germany. These are ones that I dropped in the mail. So that's why my name, address, and contact info at that point are here. Okay, we're going to go ahead and do the hands-on, and this is also a good point to stretch, or if you got to refresh your fuel or things, go right ahead. And at the same time, we'll open it up for any questions, and we'll have you try filling out a radiogram. So if you have a blank one handy, go ahead and fill one out like you're going to send it to me. You can make the message number whatever you feel like. So number 1 or number 400 or however. But go ahead and send it to me with that text. Hope to hear on the bands again soon. Figure 7-3. And And again, if any questions, feel free to throw them in. If you need to take a break, go ahead. Good. A good opportunity to take a break here. All right, let me jump at the chat. Estimated completion time is in 30 minutes. Is when this is scheduled to end. I sometimes it depends on questions, but so far it looks like we're tracking okay. Maybe about 2 minutes or so, a little bit extra, but we're looking okay. Next question: how are ops like an op note? How do you read an op note on the air? Roll right through it, just like anything else you would read. So for the signature, make this up off the top of my head. Um, so it's signed Aaron Amateur Call Kilo 8 Alpha Mike Hotel op note reply or service via amateur call Kilo Echo 5 Yankee Tango Alpha Richardson, Texas, zip figures. I don't remember the zip code, 75080. Break, right? You would break after you're all the way, or not break because that's the end. That'd be end of number, whatever that radiogram was. Other questions? We'll keep this up on the screen. Let's see how my fuel's doing. Mm, It's warm and tolerable, so okay. Uh, uh, if uh, if no questions, that's awesome. We'll give a little bit more time for folks to fill this out, and then I'll show you generally how it should look. And then we'll kind of walk through a little bit of some general net procedures and how net control stations track things. Like how do we know how to get a piece of traffic like from Dallas to Houston or from here to New Jersey, or how do we go about that, just so that you have some visibility into what the net experience is like. And then give you some hands-on on receiving traffic. So I have one that I will relay to you, and then I'll give you some next steps, some different web resources and things that you can use to try if you want to continue on traffic handling. And again, just based on the question of when will this end, if you do need to drop off early, as a reminder, I am grabbing a recording of this and I will put it up on YouTube later this evening. Um, Zoom has to process it, and then I have to upload it to YouTube, and then YouTube has to process it. So it takes a little bit of time. But once all that's set, I will get the link out to the video to everybody, along with links to all the things that I'm going to mention at the end. So if you want to avoid trying to write everything down for all the links type of thing, they will be in the email. So I will have all of that in the email. Um, Sometimes this comes up as a question: is that your phone number? It is. I've had folks call me. I've got a question about some traffic, and you're probably going to voicemail because I've had enough phone calls from the IRS telling me I'm going to jail and whatever. So if I don't recognize the number, yeah, uh, voicemail is probably your destination. But leave me a note. Hey, I have a question, and then I will call you back, or say let's see how we can walk through it. For things that get more complex, then I will work to connect you with your local section traffic manager. We're all here to help. So, I welcome the questions, but if it's something that we can, get your local section traffic manager to jump in and help in things, I'd much prefer that. I really do not want to be, this is how we do it in North Texas. So, I want to make sure that we get the right folks involved based on the type of question. So I mean, if you have a question that uh, you know, how do I do that handling instruction or the thing? Yeah. How do I get a traffic net started? Yeah, I'm probably going to connect you with your local section traffic manager, and have you drive through it that way. So I appreciate that. My cheap comedy is working in the chat. Someone thanking me for the laughs. Try to keep it interesting. This can be very dry material. So, try to keep it lively, I guess. So, all right, let's, hopefully folks have been able to get things filled out. If you're still working on it and you're on video, wave frantically or, in a panic or something, and I'll go, oh, okay, I'll wait a second, but everybody seems calm. So, all right, I'm going to take that to mean continue. If you didn't get it all set, that's okay. And here, let me get out the magnifying glass again here, just to um, help show this. Ideally, you should have something like this: a number, a routine, your call sign, a check of Niner, your city and state, and then today is still November 21st UTC, so November 21, and then my address and phone number information, and then the text, hope to hear you on the band soon. Sometimes this comes up that, well, I put an X-ray between soon and 73. Again, the traffic police are not going to, come take your license away or whatever. But it's a good opportunity to save the $5 if you can. And I've done it. I've gotten on the air and X-ray 73 and break. And I guess I had an extra $5 in my pocket today, but that's how I gave it to you. So send it, and we go forward or whatever. But and then at the bottom, your name and your call sign as the signature. Does anybody have any questions about how this came together? Or if you had something majorly different and you're comfortable with sharing that, or just types of things. This is an opportunity to ask questions, or could you explain that part again? I don't quite have it, or this is a good time to do that. Please feel free. I have a question on traffic I received and currently working with recipient. Okay, can we do, I want to take that one after we get through. I do not have a microphone. Go ahead and get that question ready for the chat. I'm going to go through the rest of the slides, and then we'll take your question and then the Winlink part. We'll do it in that order. Um, but I want to make sure I get the question on how to work the traffic that you've got on your plate. Okay, traffic nets. I didn't have a better picture for this, so there it is, a net. Um, Traffic nets generally follow the same as any other net. You've got the preamble. Welcome to the DFW Metroplex traffic net. My name is Aaron. My call sign Kilo 8 Alpha Mike Hotel, and I'll be your net control station. This net is a local affiliate of the ARRL's national traffic system, and here are some instructions about how it's going to work. Here we take check-ins from stations with traffic first, as in you have radiogram traffic you want to relay. And then we'll take check-ins without traffic. And those are equally as useful because it gives me a sense of who's around to be able to help with that. And then we'll get into the relaying. And for the vast majority of traffic nets, they'll run in this format. On my end, if I'm the net control station, here's how I'd go about tracking the who I've got. And so this is a real log from a traffic net I ran. I'm the net control station, so I go in the log first. The next one to check in was Calvin, W7KYG. He had one piece of traffic to Bowie, Texas. The next one to check in was Don, W9VE, and he can be a liaison to TEX, the Texas CW net. And this is helpful for me to know who can get traffic in and out of the area. So if I had a piece of traffic that was headed to Houston, this net, the Texas, let me get out my laser pointer. The Texas CW net is a great candidate for moving that around. How do I know that? Well, some of it's from experience and listening to nets and how traffic flows and understanding the grid. Texas phone net is a comment that's come in, that Texas traffic net, TTN, also exists. There's a Texas slow net, TSN, that's a CW net, but runs a little slower for folks that are building their CW skills. So lots of options. For this net, I only had, in terms of the ones that are in Texas like this, is the Texas CW net, or what we abbreviate as TEX. Don did not have any traffic, but if I had something headed out to a different area in Texas, then I would relay it through him. Next is Roger, KE5YTA. He is able to liaison with DTN, the digital traffic net, and he brought a book of 5. So it's the same text, and the same headers, except for the number and destination are different. Two of them to Dallas, one to Plano, one to Prosper, one to Melissa. So I only need to hear the text one time, and for the other four, I just need the number and the name, address, phone number, right? So this helps us same time. Next was John, KF5IOU, also checking in his digital. He had a book of three, and he also had one separate one, or what we could call a single, to Burleson. And then Corky, KG5NNA, checked in, and he had a net report. Now, with the traffic nets, we keep a record of what's going on, and then the traffic nets send monthly reports to their section traffic managers. So I get numbers at the end of the month. How many check-ins did you get? How much traffic did you move? How many minutes were you on the air? That information all gets sent up to ARRL headquarters along with some other information and things like that. But we move the net reports through the traffic system because why not, right? We're there to move information. So the reports all come in through the traffic system. All right, so let me turn off the laser pointer. And so based on this, I can figure out how to route things. I've got traffic going to these different cities. Who do I have that's nearby? Sometimes that means I need a map so I could see. Sometimes I have no idea and I just ask on the air, do I have a volunteer that can take the one to Burleson? Come in with your call sign, and I see who steps up. So just kind of depends on, who do I have. And that does mean sometimes I might have a piece of traffic headed to New Jersey, but I do not have any liaisons that can move that traffic out of the state. And then the answer is, I need you to hold that, bring it to a future net. Thankfully, that's very rare, maybe once a month. But if I don't have an outlet, I don't have an outlet. Now I can give the option of, if you're not able to take that to a future net, then give it to me or give it to someone else and we'll bring it there on your behalf. But if I don't have an outlet, I don't have an outlet. I can't make it head towards New Jersey if I don't have someone that can do that. So that's why checking in, even if you don't have any traffic, is helpful, because it helps with the getting things moved around. The way it would work is, when it's time to move it, is I would say station one, call station two and pick it up. And they would say, station two, this is station one, I'm ready to copy. And then they would go ahead and relay it. Thank you for copying my number 4 routine. Break. Please say again phone figures. Saying again phone figures. All right, Roger, phone figures, go text, and text, break, go signature. Um, Signature, end number 4, no more, how copy, I roger your number 4, thanks for the traffic, my call sign, thanks for taking it, my call sign, back to net control. you know when you listen, you'll get the feel for this, but that's generally the flow, is the two work together to get that moved, and then it goes back to the net control station. So the net control station is the one that tracks what's here and who can take what, and then says, you take this, and then that happens, and then it goes back to net control, and you go on to the next one, and then you do that until you don't have any more traffic. So um, all right, I already walked through how to move the traffic from earlier, so I'm not going to do that again. This is that example that we put together from before that I already stepped through and said, here's how I'd relay it. So I'll skip that. All right, so we'll go ahead and do um, a quick hands-on where I'm going to relay a message to all of you. I promise I'm going to go nice and slow. So please do not panic that you're going to get a workout. And it's amazing. I'll check in on nets and I'll say, normally I type them in on a program. Um, but one time all I had was a blank sheet of paper, and I'm like, give it to me at writing speed, please, because I'm writing it down. And they still go fast, slower. I can't stress it enough. It'll feel so uncomfortable, but that's when it's the right speed. So if you have the blank radiogram, um, for the address, the way I would do that is I would say, going to your station. Same thing if on the air, right? I don't need someone to, going to Aaron Hewlett, Kilo 8 Alpha Mike Hotel. I know my name and my address and my phone number. So it's going to you. Right. So I'm going to do the same thing. It'd be going to your station would be exactly how we would do that. So, okay, if you're ready, here we go. Please copy number 404, routine, Kilo 8 Alpha Mike Hotel. 15 Dallas, Texas, November 21. Going to your station. Break. Now, at this point, you would tell me, please say again, or ideally, go, means I did a good job. So we'll pretend you said go. Thank you for attending this training. Hope to receive some traffic from you soon. Figures 7-3. Break. And again, you'd say, please say again, word after attending or whatever, but we'll say go. Aaron, amateur call, Kilo 8, Alpha Mike Hotel. End 404. No more. How copy? Ideally, you would say, I roger your 404. Thanks for the traffic, K888. Should I say thanks for taking it, K888? Or, you get what I mean. All right, so here is hopefully, if I did a good job today, here's what you here's what you have on your form in front of you. Number 404 routine gate MH15 Dallas, Texas, November 21 to your call sign or your station or whatever. Thank you for attending this training. And again, notice I didn't put an X-ray between training and hope because it's clear. I hope that was the end of the sentence, type of thing. Try to be efficient where you can. I try to be smart about it, but again, if you put an X-ray there, it makes sense. There's nobody that's going to come in and say, "How dare you?" You're going to clog the system. I mean, no, it'll work just fine. But it's one of those things that comes with time. You get enough traffic moving, you get a feel for what folks are working with and where you can kind of omit the X-rays or things. Any questions on this? Anything I can clarify on that? Hopefully, uh, this is matching what you got. Because again, that's the goal. Okay, good. I mean, I as a section traffic manager, I try not to be overly picky, but I get picky even with like X-ray. Well, is it initial X-ray or is it the word X-ray, right? I want the thing to be an exact copy. So when you say, thank you for attending this training, X-ray. Well, if you say X-ray, I'm going to put XRAY. And if you say initial X-ray, then I will put the letter X. That's how in tune I get, and sometimes I'll ask the hard questions, 13, I'll come back. Is that figures 1-3 or is that the word 13 spelled out? Just, I want to make sure I got it exact. So if you're ever in doubt, the time to ask is during the relay. There is no, I will come back afterwards and ask, well, that traffic I took from you earlier, can you help me make sure too late? Yeah, and I've had that happen where, well, okay, I kind of got it, but I'll ask for fills later so we can keep the net going. No, incomplete relay. The traffic did not relay successfully. Keep working through it or scrap it. Bad band conditions or whatever, we'll figure out a different way to route it. I mean, we've even done that on the local in a repeater, that the person coming in has a lot of noise, the destination just has a speaker and they're hearing a bunch of noise. I'm wearing headphones and I can hear it. And so I say, okay, relay it to me. I can work you. And then when we're done, I will relay it to the destination. And that's exactly how we do it. We never want to have well, I kind of got it. And so we're good enough. It's not good enough. Okay, I'll get off that horse. Would you say the position of the word, like spell word 5 or group 5? Yeah, that's absolutely an option. Please say again word number 6. Uh, you know, that works. I've done that. Um, a little bit of an assumption that the other person grouped them in a way that they can quickly figure out what the sixth one is. Otherwise, one, two, three, four, five, six. Okay, the sixth one is, training. I've done that. Whether it's say word, please say again word after this, or please say again word number six or group six, type of thing. NTS frequencies. I'm going to go into that in a second. How you can find out how to get on these, and then. Okay, so let me give you these extra resources and things. We'll take final questions, and then I want to dive into the one question about the piece of traffic that's on the desk and how can I move it, and then we'll dive into Winlink. Um, so for again, all these, I'll have links to these in the email I'm going to send you afterwards. To find traffic nets in your area, you can search the ARRL net directory, arrl.org stroke, right, the NTS way. So / ARRL hyphen net hyphen directory. Um, I will admit the database is a little interesting. That's my nice way of saying it was awesome technology when it was made, and it was made a while ago. So give that a try. But I would highly encourage you to reach out to your section leadership, your section traffic manager, and or your section manager, arrl.org/sections. We are here to help. And sometimes sorry to bother you. No, we're here to help. So please feel free to reach out to your section leadership. Hey, I want to jump in. Do you have a list of traffic nets in my area, type of thing? Or I tried to use the ARL net directory, and yeah, can you give me a list of traffic nets? Or, please feel free to reach out. We very much, want to help and get you hooked in. For those in North Texas, arrlntx.org. I'll show you that link in a bit. There's a whole NTS area because I manage the webpage, so you bet I've got lots of information there, even statistics. How many messages do we move? All sorts of goodies. The traffic nets that occur in and near this section are listed on there. DFW traffic nets for those of you in Dallas. DFWtrafficnet.org is has the two repeaters we're on. I can give you lots more details on that afterwards. Let me get through these finals for folks that have to leave the meeting as we scheduled it in 4 minutes. Again, the reference guide and the radiogram forms, k8amh.com/handouts if you need them. And again, if even like what's in this picture is the previous version, I only did a marketing facelift with the new ARRL North Texas diamond layout thing. All the information is the same. So if you have the past one that I put together in February, it's the same content. So no need to go get that. If you want some ways to get involved in traffic handling but aren't sure where to start, I can give you two options that we do here in this section. The first is the trivia game. I throw a new question out every Sunday at midnight, coordinated universal time, so 0. and it's just once a week. Answers come in through the traffic system, and I count the points and things because folks are interested in that. It also gives me some visibility. How is traffic doing? So if you look at the statistics page on ntstrivia.com, I have how many I received, so your points, and did you get it right? And I also have how many did I get for the week, and how long are they taking? And it's my way of measuring, um, is traffic flowing through the system as expected, right? If I get a piece of traffic that's been in the network for a week and a half, well, was it a one-off or is it something that's common, right? Then I have an opportunity to kind of investigate that path and figure out how to make it better, right? So trivia gives some fun, gives you a chance to get some traffic in. It helps me understand the weather and how I can make changes. The other one I can offer, NTS Pen Pal, effectively hams that are just interested in getting to know other hams through radiograms. And I'll connect you with another ham. I put some distance between you, and so sometimes that means there's a wait. If I'm all out, like if I have three people from Dallas waiting and I have no one else outside of the state, then like, well, hang on, wait till we get some more folks that want to participate, and I'll get you interconnected just to give you some distance and keep it fun. Um, I'm not in the middle of those. I just connect you together and then you go and start exchanging traffic. If you have an issue, yeah, let me know and then I can figure out what's going on, type of thing. But that's another way to get connected into the system, type of thing. Last thing I'll give you, we have a discussion group on Groups.io. Um, I see the comment about Radio Relay International. I'll mention that in a second. I mention it now because sometimes folks will say, well, there's Radio Relay International that moves traffic, and then there's the ARRL that moves traffic. And so how does that work? This discussion group is for every traffic handler. I'm the section traffic manager for the North Texas section of the league. So, yep, the discussion group is branded for the national traffic system. So, yes, but any traffic, anybody that's handling traffic, the radiogram formats, I don't care if you're RRI, NTS, independent traffic net, it does not matter. We're all here for the same goal, is to move traffic from point A to point B, and get it there reliably, a reasonable amount of time, and with quality. So welcome you to jump in, and I have many folks that lurk, some that participate. You're welcome to jump in and participate, as you'd like. And so some final resources. For those of you in North Texas, the Facebook group, I have a Twitter account that I use for section traffic manager stuff. Like if we're activating the traffic system, like for some of the recent hurricanes and things, I'll put some information there that, hey, we're activating, and go to this webpage to find information. ARRL.org stroke NTS has the main national webpage information on the traffic system. My webpage has lots of information on it. Again, you're welcome to send me an email, or you have my phone number now, so you can send me a phone number. But that puts us right at the 1:30 mark. If there are other questions, you're welcome to stick around. I will continue to record, so if you need to drop, absolutely fine. And again, very much appreciate your time. And if you jump into the traffic system, awesome. If you go, you know what, I'm focused on Aries right now, this isn't a good time, or however that is, the fact that you know about the system now, and if someone during an incident says, oh, that's going out through the traffic system, now it's not a mystery anymore. You go, oh, I kind of know what happened there. Okay, good. Right. Or sometimes you'll get the, well, what are our options? Well, now you have a new tool in the toolbox you can pull against. Winlink's a tool in the toolbox, the traffic system's a tool in the toolbox. All these things are good tools. So again, thank you everybody. And again, we'll jump in here on the follow-up questions that have come in. The first one I'll take is the question of interfacing with Radio Relay International. So again, kind of like what I said, all these different traffic systems, so National Traffic System, or Radio Relay International, or independent traffic nets like the 7290 traffic net, completely independent, doesn't affiliate with any organization. We're all exchanging traffic with each other. We're all using the same radiogram format. So you might bring traffic at the local net here in Dallas. That's a national traffic system affiliated net. And then it goes out through DTN, the digital traffic net, that's on Radio Relay International. And then it might relay there to New Jersey and pop out back on a national traffic system net. It doesn't matter. We're all interconnected, and we're all working together to make traffic move and get through. So that whole part of the biz, everything is just flowing, no problems there. Had the question about, I've got the traffic on my plate, trying and currently working with the recipient. Hopefully you've got that question primed and ready to paste and send. But let me buy you a few seconds. And while you're doing that, um, let me, you can send it to everyone, because I'm going to answer to everybody. It's a good learning. Questions are, oh, I got to find my Winlink link. Uh, Winlink. There, that worked. Oh, Chris, W3CJD up in New Jersey. Um, and that came 7290. Okay. Uh, what's the and here's the fun part while you post, what's the question on it? The BT break text and things, you'll see that like that's kind of how it's done in CW. How do you say break, or different things. Um, so this is how a radiogram would look typed out, so to speak. Uh, BT breaking necessary. Is that the question? Let me read the whole thing. Number 424 routine, text or echo, destination, and email address. Thanks for the 40-meter FT8 QSO November 18, the time, Bull QSL via logbook of the world. Do you also QSL direct question 73? So is your question about how would you go about emailing it to James? Oh, if you go on the local Aries net, would you say break instead of BT? Yeah, you would say break. That is effectively um, how you would. That's how you indicate breaks in the text. So you would just say break there. You wouldn't say Bravo Tango. You would say break text. Okay, everybody, congratulations. You get to see all my desktop icons in a big mess. And now let's go back and hide them. Okay, bye. So, um, are the X-rays necessary in the message? For me, I would kind of know where the sentences end. Again, it's kind of back to that. Do you spend the $5 or things? And it's not 100% horrible type of thing. All right, what I am very poorly trying to get open. There we go. This is a program that I use to track traffic. It's called Ready to Copy. And there's a very horrendous URL for this. So search the internet for Ready to Copy Whiskey Kilo 4 Whiskey Charlie. Let me make a note to put that in my email. I don't think I have that ready to go. Ready to copy URL. I highly recommend you learn by pen and paper first. Uh, that's how you build the muscle memory. Uh, and if you are thrown out into the middle of an incident, if you have a computer and power for it, wow, how lucky for you. But normally, you'll have a pen and a piece of paper and it'll say, get to work. And so if you practice on the pen and paper, it will be second nature. If you do it all on the computer and suddenly you're thrown into pen and paper land, it's going to be very foreign. So I recommend as you build the skills, start with pen and paper, and then you can start to look into software. The reason I'm opening this is it follows the same thing, BT, break. This is how you indicate breaks when you're typing it out. And it'd be the same thing on CW. At this point, you would send this as the break. But you don't say that. You don't say Bravo Tango on the air. You say break. Same thing here, break. All your help, figure 7-3 break. Uh, for the X-rays, when you're delivering it, I know sometimes some folks get the telegram, uh, you know, uh, mixed group 0314 Zulu, stop. No, you read it like a normal human when you deliver it. Thanks for the 40-meter FTA QSO, November 18, 0314 Zulu. Will QSL via logbook of the world. Do you also QSL direct? If you're going to email it, um, translate the X-ray to a period, translate the query to a question mark. Again, that person on the other end is not going to know, query, what? Translate it in the email to them so that, do you also QSL direct question mark? Convert it back like you would, kind of expect it in plain language for them. Hopefully that answers that one. I'll buy you some time to, okay, awesome. All right, did I draw that on the screen? More importantly, how do I get rid of it? Okay, I know it's annotate, clear. Oh, okay, I did it. All right, so Winlink, this comes up as how do I use Winlink for for traffic. And can I? During field day, we were all operating at home. And so normally folks would get field day traffic handling points. For those that don't know, you can get 11 points for traffic. You get one for sending it to your section manager. Not to your section traffic manager, your section manager only. So you can get 1 point for that, and you can get up to 10 points for any other formal traffic that's moved over the air. For, and I'm going to stress that for all of them. Or yeah, is it 100 for the? Yeah, thank you for keeping me honest. 100 for the section manager or emergency coordinator, and 10 points each up to 100 for the next. So you can get points if you send field day traffic. And so with folks running at home, it was like, well, how can I do that? I'm nowhere near a traffic net. So Winlink became the option. So let me show you how you would do that. It starts like a general message. You open up a new message in Winlink, and then you would select a template. And from this list within the standard templates, you'll find radiogram and RRI forms. And then from within here, radiogram.text. This is the one you want, not the 213 radiogram. This is one of those combining a 213 and a radiogram to try and help them work together. You want just the straight up radiogram for this. Double click to open that up, and into the browser we go. And you'll see, amazingly, this looks like any other radiogram. Now, Winlink will try to remember the numbers. If your number is not what it says, you can override it. What's the number? What's the precedence? What handling instructions do you have? Station of origin, change this if not you, type of thing. Let me change this back just for fun. The check it will figure out for you. Place of origin, so on, I fill this out. Date is, again, no time, local time, or no time. You're not going to be able to change this, at least in this template. The thinking is you're using this to author the first one, type of thing. You're early in the chain, because once it goes in digitally, um, you're going to pop out in the network at its destination area. So I generally you would never need to change this, but local, UCC, or no. Two, I'll send it to myself just to fill this out. 75068 469602528. No email. Here is some test traffic to demo how this form works. 73. Notice how the check's already gone to 12. And when I tab out of this, it puts it in groups of 5. How nice. And if you start, congrats, exclamation point, it's blocking that because, again, we don't do symbols type of thing. So, some safeguards are built into this. Signed, myself. And then you've got the spots for the op notes if you need them. Okay, now here's where this becomes a little bit different. When you send this through Winlink, what happens is it goes into Winlink like any other Winlink message, but you indicate that it's headed into the traffic system. You do that by clicking here where it says to select a liaison. When you click on this, you'll get a list of destination regions. This is the destination. So rather than the call sign number. So like for me, my call sign is a region 8, Michigan. But I am not in Michigan. I am in Texas. So the region I would pick is region 5 for Texas. So this follows where it's headed. Where is the destination? And by doing this, you're helping Winlink relay it into the digital traffic net to go towards its destination. So once you pick this, close, you will see that at the bottom, I'm pointing at it like you could see, you see that? So you'll see here, you'll see here where it says region 5. Now, assuming I filled everything out correctly, I'm going to click submit. If I have something wrong, it'll yell at me. But here, to complete your submission, click OK and close the browser. This will go blank, which looks very scary, but that's okay. When we jump back now into that Winlink, here's the message. And again, just like before, BT for the breaks, right, to indicate where does the header and the address end and the text begin and end in the signature, and then end. That's effectively what this is saying, end of the radiogram. And then the two and the carbon copy allow it to go into the digital traffic net. Change nothing. Keep this exactly as it put it, please. And then you'll see in the subject, QTC. I have, one traffic that's routine, that's headed to Little Elm, Texas, a zip code. And so when the digital stations that participate connect in and say, do you have any traffic headed my way? They look at these subjects to see what's headed to where. And then they can go, okay, I'll take that one and that one and that one, relay it to me, please. And then in it comes. And then like here in Dallas, they'll bring it to the local traffic net and we'll do the local delivery. So that's what's happening when you use the template built into Winlink. You would post it to Outbox like, excuse me, like any other radiogram message. If it's field day and you want the points, it must leave your station over the air, whether that's going over a 2-meter packet, if it's HF on Pactor, it has to leave your station over the air to get the points. If you just want to try it for the hell of it, then Telnet going over the internet is okay. But for the field day points, it's gotta go over the air. Any questions on the Winlink side? Now, sometimes the question comes up of, well, can I get the traffic back via Winlink? Then this acts as a gateway into the traffic system. It does not act as a gateway back out. So this is a funnel for getting traffic into the traffic system. When it flows through the traffic system and it pops out, right, we're basically going for the phone delivery or maybe the email. Type of thing. The system does not understand how to route it back into Winlink. That's a manual intervention by a person, right? Again, we think about incidents and we want to verify receipt, and so a person's going to manage that and make sure it gets delivered. So this is very much a one-way in type of thing. Question concerns not being able to maintain date of original message if I'm acting as a relay. I seem to have to change manually. So the question I've got is, where are you getting the traffic from to get the traffic into DTN through this form? Off the cuff, if you're not playing direct with DTN. So let me give you the example, a better walkthrough. For traffic headed to Texas, the main station that you would go pick that up from is in Paoli, Indiana. And so our DTN, because Digital Traffic Net is a completely separate system from Winlink. It still uses the same setup and protocols, as Winlink. Most use airmail as the program, but it's still the same Winlink style deal. But it is a completely separate setup. And so generally, if I'm the digital liaison, it means you are specifically working the digital side, and you're connecting in, like here in this case, to that station in Indiana to get traffic in and out of here over digital. Come from 7290, failure in phone numbers and want to try further with DTN is okay. Failure, so are you saying that the phone number wound up bad, whether the phone number was originally bad or the phone number changed in transit, you're calling it and it's the wrong phone number? Yes, on all methods fail. Here's what's going to happen. If you put it into DTN, it will turn around and come back towards you. And you will basically send it in a circle. It will come back to you. So the course of action at this point is to service the station back, the originating station, saying uh, unable to deliver. Um, Here's a fun part with Ready to Copy. It has a bunch of those shorthands in it already. So is it 67? I would send um, as the message ARRL. Well, if we want to make it official, initials Alpha Romeo Lima 60. I spell Sierra India X-ray Tango Yankee 7. I spell Sierra Echo Victor Echo November. The message number, and then bonus points if you include the call sign. Bad phone number, bad email address. And that's the message. And that'll let the station of origin know that you attempted delivery, but were unable because the phone number and email did not work. Now, what I will do, let me open a blank Word document, and then I can zoom in on the text or whatever. ARRL 60. Let me try and make that bigger so you can actually see it. ARRL 67, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A1BC, 1, 2, 3, 5, 5, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, uh, phone disconnected, email not working, 7-3. Something like this that, it makes sense to let them know that, you tried it and it didn't work. I include the phone number as a way to, in case it changed in transit, when it gets back, they can look at it and go, yeah, that's the phone number I used, or "No, that's not the phone number I gave. Let me try sending it again, because it errored in transit." So it's a little bonus data that I include. I would not include an email because that's huge and takes a lot of time and whatever. But a phone number, I would include in there, but not required. It's not part of the format. So ARL 67 1 2 3 4 5 call sign. This helps them reference back to the traffic that they sent. Phone disconnected, or bad phone number, or um, you know uh, left voicemail, no reply, whatever the reason is, and just service it back and call it a day. Not much more you can do with that. Some folks choose to drop them in the mail. That's up to you. We're not asking you to spend any money at all. Um, I put them in the mail because I choose to. If it has a hotel x-ray golf instruction, which is the don't spend any money, um, then I honor that and I will not put it in the mail. I will just service it back and say undeliverable because. If it was, um, you know, um, like this case where the phone and email didn't work, delivery by mail actually counts as delivery. So I would say ARL 47, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A1BC, November 201 US mail, uh, as phone disconnected, something like that to explain why I did it, right? Um, and I can't really put the time. How do you put a time for the mail? If we look at the template, you have reference your number delivered on date at time. Well, I put it in the mail at this date. If I put, I put it in the mail at 12:45 Zulu. Okay, great. But I would do something like that. So yeah, mail counts as a delivery. If you mail it, I'm looking at the chat, that helps. I wondered about mail interpreted as delivery. Delivery by um, U.S. mail is a delivery. So if you're an official relay station and you're tracking your points, delivery by mail counts as a point. If you deliver it by email, that technically counts as a point, even if they don't acknowledge. But I personally do not feel comfortable. If I email it, I wait to hear back before I go, okay, success. Um, If you get the person's voicemail and it says, "Thank you for calling," no indication of who I am, then I will leave a message saying, "Hi, my name is Aaron. My call sign KDMH. I'm a ham radio operator that participates in a network that moves messages across the country, and I have a message for you. Could you please give me a call back at phone number? I'd love to deliver it to you." And then I wait to hopefully hear back. If the greeting is, "This is John Doe. Leave me a message." I have confidence now that I've got the right phone number because the name matches the voicemail greeting. Then I will change the tune to, "Hi, I'm Aaron KDMH. I'm a ham radio operator that moves messages across the country. I have one for you. Here's what it says." And then I will deliver via voicemail. And then I will change this via confirmed voice mail, something like that, that I know the person's name, and I will count that as a delivery because I have confidence that I've gotten it to its destination. So hopefully that makes some sense there. Yeah. There's ambiguous points. Okay, yeah, glad to clarify. Again, if you're really wanting some punishment, the methods and practices, the practices, methods and practices 400 pager answers lots, lots of questions. And about once a month, I go in there and I go, "Well, let me go double check the answer before I give you an answer." And they say, "Okay, I consulted the guide, and here's what it says." And if it's on the main NTS page at ARRL, so arrl.org/NTS has the right on the page there, the methods and practices guidelines PDF that you can, pull and, read, I guess. Other questions? And I'll leave a good pause just for folks to have time. And then while that's happening, um, again, just to redo the housekeeping, um, as soon as I end the meeting and acknowledge there's a question pending, if anyone has others, throw them in there. Oh, and yeah, that's a good question too. Um, any questions afterwards, feel free to send me email or things. I will send out a link to the video and the other items I talked about once the video is up on YouTube. Usually takes a couple of hours to connect all the dots and get it in there and everything, but I will send that out. The next session, I normally do them the third Saturdays. With the holidays, I'm not going to have one in December. The next one will be in January, and I'll have a link to that. If you know of anybody else that would be interested or things, you can also point them to the video if they would like that. Some folks find the video good, some like the real time, and it's kind of up to you. But I'll have that all for you. The great question: how do you pass a radiogram that has an error in the check? And so, uh, what'll happen here? Uh, Let me just make one up here. Number 47 routine. KE5YTA 5 Dallas Tex November 21 my station break, hope to see you soon 73 break Roger KE5YTA. And here's something handy: you hit the check on here. Oops, I typed that wrong. What we'll see here is this is telling me the check is actually 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, but I have 5 here. Right, so this helps me if I got to check a 6 and you told me 5. And then if they come back and they say, "No, that's how I received it," the way that you would correct it is you would not add or remove any words from the text. You would correct, this is getting a little more advanced. You would do 5-6. And so let me copy this into Word so it's a little bit bigger. How about I do a better job of doing that? There we go. Uh, the check that it arrived with is 5, but I corrected it to 6 because there are 6 groups here. So I keep the wrong one that I got and I correct it. And then this is how it would relay the rest of the way. Please copy number 47 routine kilo 8 kilo echo 5 Yankee Tango Alpha 5 corrected to 6. Dallas, Texas, November 2-1. Or you could do 5-6, but the general practice is 5 corrected to 6. I've had traffic show up that has no check. And then you know, verifying there's no check in the header, that's affirmative. Okay, go text. Okay. I got a check of 2-3. Can you verify that that's what you have in front of you? That's affirmative. And I will go, okay, nothing corrected to 2-3. And that's how I'll track it, right? Uh, I don't want to add or remove words or x-rays or or anything to make it line up or whatever, right? This is about word for word and letter for letter. So I will preserve the text exactly as it is, and I will throw correction indicators up here. Is that makes sense on how to do that? If there's a different scenario that might, help to walk through, like, well, what if it was like this? And if that would give some clarity, feel free to throw a scenario. And while that, if any other questions, again, throw them in the chat here. We still got a little bit of time. Um, I mentioned a half hour, but I have a little more time. Uh, if you have another question, I can take it. Um, Things that happened when receiving traffic during the set. Yeah, it happens. We're people, you know, and sometimes things happen. And if you go back to my favorite methods and methods and practices 400 pager, it'll walk through how to do that. I don't put it in the PowerPoint. Um, there is a lot of fire hose to the presentation that I give, but I'm trying to give kind of the 80 out of the 80-20 rule. If I give you the skill set to take a good chunk of the traffic, then you build those skill sets, and in time you gain the rest, kind of like these bonus, well, what if it's off, or type of things. I know here on the Dallas local nets, they're not only the traffic net, but it's also set up as a training net. So we welcome the questions. And when we get someone new and we say, are you ready to try your first one? Then we'll walk through it and, say, well, let me read the header like I would. Okay. So what you should have on your end is this. And is that what you got? Or can we clarify? We'll take the time to try and help, assuming we don't, have another net coming up right afterwards or something. So, yeah, um, a lot of this was a fire hose treatment of, here's a bunch of radiogram details. Um, Give it a few days to float. If you have, I'd like to see it again. Give it a couple of days, and then you can grab the video and kind of go through it again. Oh, I get it now, right? It's starting to line up. You are welcome to sign up for the January session. I've had some folks that have taken it a couple of times. And the first time I kind of got it, and the second time it's starting to make more sense or things. So you're welcome to take the next one. That type of thing. So, question: are there any HF training nets? Um, Generally speaking, the majority of nets are there to help you learn. The 7290 traffic net, as an example, um, they Joanne Keith, KA5AZK, she is an excellent resource on traffic, and she used to be the second traffic manager here, and I mean, she's awesome at it. During those nets on Wednesdays and Saturdays, they'll have over the air training to help folks learn. And so, when we're not in an incident, we are, we want to help you learn and grow and build the skills, right? When we get in the incident, that is not the time to learn. It's too late. And unfortunately it happens. Random station is well-meaning. I want to help. Yeah, but they have no clue what the radiogram is, have never worked a net in their lives, type of thing. And it just creates a challenge. I'll put that diplomatically. um, so now in the downtimes, and well, happy birthday, and yeah, those are the types of things that help us work the system and keep things moving and to practice. And then when we get Hurricane Laura showing up in Louisiana, and there's the potential that traffic's got to get out of there, and it's coming up our direction in North Texas, or 7290 is stepping up and getting involved. Right now we're responding, and we're working the well-oiled machine. We did um, we did an exercise a couple weeks ago here locally. It's the first exercise in recent memory for any of us that have worked traffic here. And one of the things that came out of it was that was just like any other traffic net. And that's the point. It's the same. Please copy number 47, emergency, blah da do do do, 17, you know, somewhere Louisiana, going to Louisiana State Operations Center, break. It's all the same format. It's just the content and the radiogram changes. And so all of this routine traffic is what builds the skill set to enable working traffic in an incident. Would be great if these questions would be included in the posted recording. So we're still recording now. This whole thing will be up on, assuming Zoom didn't bust, this whole thing will be up on YouTube, this whole session. And same thing with the past sessions, all the same, the recordings are the same way. So we'll have the whole thing on there for this. Looking for HF live practice sessions, but that might be wishful thinking. Um, Sometimes I get the question, well, where can I go? I'm in Dallas, where can I go practice? You can practice on the daily traffic nets. That's why they're there. Same thing with 7290 or Texas Traffic Net, Texas CW Net. We're running daily. That's the practice. The daily routine traffic is the practice session. 365 days a year. It's one of the things I find awesome about the traffic system is, well, how often do you practice? Every day. We will have two traffic nets on Thanksgiving locally. We will have two traffic nets on Christmas. We will have two traffic nets on New Year's. Every day, the thing runs every day. So please feel free to jump in on the traffic nets. And back, like I talked about before, feel free to jump in and oops and learn and grow, and I encourage it. And if you find a traffic net in North Texas that you do not get that welcoming, please tell me. I would love to follow up on that. But no, we are here. We want you to learn. We want you to be successful. And if you take that skill and transfer it to Aries, please. I had one a person that took this in Arizona, and there was a fire that was being worked, and they were communicating back with the city, and their radios went down, and the repeater went down that was going on in between them, and a station that was in the middle became the relay between the scene and the city EOC. And what skill set helps with that? I mean, this is what this builds for. This goes beyond radiograms and things. This is about emergency communications. So can you tell I'm passionate? Okay, question in the chat. um, to start using the daily traffic nets here in DFW, do you need to register? No. And it really doesn't matter on any traffic net. Um, if you want to jump in and participate, the way that I suggest it is to listen and get a feel for how the traffic net runs. I recommend that for any net, traffic or Skywarn or any of it. Listen to how it works. When do people check in? How do they check in? Is it their call sign only? Is it phonetics? Do they give a grid square? Do they, how is that net operating? Then start participating. Um, Here in the Metroplex on the DFW nets, we're a little more relaxed, so to speak. If you check in, and you're out of order, we'll tell you, or things like that. But same thing, I'd recommend listen to one or something. But if you jump in on the 6:30, please feel free. Uh, um, we'll have you listen to several things, and if you keep showing up, then eventually we'll kind of nudge you to say, hey, you think you want to try taking something? And then we'll walk you through it and that type of thing. And we've had folks say, you know what, I'm not quite there yet. Let me listen for a little bit more, let me listen for a couple more sessions and then I'd love to jump in. And we'll respect that. We're not going to throw it at you and say, okay, you're in the deep end, sink or swim, right? We want to help you crawl, walk, run. We want to build. We want to build on it. So, yeah, no need to register. Just feel free to jump in and participate. I'll throw this option out to folks too. Um, if there isn't a traffic net in your area, but you kind of want to hear what one sounds like, the repeaters that are used for the DFW nets are on Echolink. They're not on All Star. I'd love that, but they're on Echolink. The first session is at 6:30 p.m. Central Time. And for reference, the current time is 4:08 p.m. Central Standard Time. Um, 6:30 p.m., 1830 hours local on the W5FC Whiskey 5 Foxtrot Charlie. The 10:30 p.m. Local or 2230 hours is on the WA5CKF Whiskey Alpha 5 Charlie Kilo Foxtrot. A little fun trying to remember what the call sign is and then transfer. WA5CKF, 10:30 p.m. We will take check-ins from out of the area. We will not take traffic from out of the area. Um, that's kind of bypassing the traffic network, so it's come up sometimes. Someone from cross country will check in and say, I have one going to someone in Dallas. It's like, we want you to go through the traffic system. We know Echolink is a thing. If we're in an incident, we have to assume there is no internet or infrastructure or things. So we want the traffic to come over the air. So if you're out of the DFW Metroplex and you're checking in over Echolink, I mean, you're welcome to just listen. But if you do want to check in, just understand we'll give you a quick moment to say how are things. But traffic, we need it to move over the traffic system and come in through the traffic system that way. We won't take traffic over Echolink, if that makes sense. If you want more info on the DFW nets, if you are here in Dallas, DFW as in Dallas Fort Worth. So Delta Foxtrot Whiskey, DFW, traffic net.org. Um, and then the exercise stuff is still there that we did. The repeaters that were on are there. There's some info on radiograms and things. And so if you're here in Dallas, a lot of folks get started on this. You're welcome to check in and please feel free to check in, participate, and start ramping up the skills. All right, we're at 10 after. Other questions or things? I think we're about to put a bow on it. But again, thanks for your time. Thanks for sticking around, and hope this was interesting. I know that's, again, it's kind of dry material, but hopefully it's a little bit livelier things. And again, feel free to spin some traffic my way or around. And if you send something to me, I'll send you something back and things. If you're not on a traffic net, then put a phone number in the op note. Op note phone number blah, so I know how to put that, or that type of thing. And otherwise, again, thank you much. I'll work on the recordings and things. Again, give this a couple of days to kind of roll before you watch the video again. I don't want it to be too overwhelming, but give it a little bit. And then if you like, I'd like to watch it again, feel free. If you have questions, feel free to email or reach out. If you want to take the session again in January, feel free to register. And again, thank you much. 73 from me, and take care. And with that, I'll go ahead and I'm going to hit the stop share and we'll call it good. All right. Have a good rest of the day, everybody. Take care.